she collapsed without a sound. One moment she was smiling while placing the cup of tea on the table. The next, her body went limp, and she fell straight into the lap of the man everyone in the city feared. A man whose signature could crush companies within seconds. A man who didn't tolerate mistakes. A man who never allowed anyone near him. But that day, everything changed. The collapse that froze the entire cafe. It was a chilly October morning in Crestwood City, and the small corner cafe hearthbrew was just beginning to fill with its usual hum of chatter. The smell of roasted beans hung warm in the air, and soft music played in the background. Alara Vaughn, a young waitress who never complained, despite the exhaustion etched into her eyes, moved briskly between tables. Her uniform was neatly tucked, her hair tied back, and even though her steps were slow that day, her smile never faded. No one noticed her trembling hands. No one noticed how her breaths grew shorter. No one except fate, because fate had seated someone in the cafe that morning. A man whose life was about to collide with hers forever. The arrival of the unapproachable. He walked in with the posture of someone who had never been denied anything. Tailored coat, dark gloves, sharp gaze. Lucian Dreyford, the billionaire no one dared to speak to unless spoken to first. The owner of Dreyford Enterprises. A man known for firing an entire boardroom once because they were 2 minutes late. A man who believed emotions were weaknesses. A man who had bodyguards trailing him everywhere. But today he arrived alone. No guards, no entourage, just him, a leather notebook, and a storm in his eyes. He chose a corner table, opened his notebook, and didn't look up again. People whispered. The barista almost spilled a mug. No one understood why he was here. But Alara? She simply approached the table with the same gentle smile she offered everyone. "Good morning, sir. What can I get for you?" Lucian's cold eyes lifted. For a moment, he stared at her longer than necessary. Maybe he noticed how tired she looked. Maybe he noticed her slight sway. Or maybe he didn't notice anything at all. "Chamomile tea. Hot. No sugar." His tone was clipped. Alara nodded politely and walked toward the counter. She didn't know that, in a few minutes, her whole world would go dark. Her silent plea no one heard. While preparing the tea, Alara felt her vision blur. Black dots danced across her sight. She gripped the counter, steadying herself. "Not now. Please not now," she whispered under her breath. She hadn't eaten in almost 2 days. Rent was overdue. Her younger brother's medical bills stacked like mountains in her small apartment. She had taken double shifts for weeks. Sleep was a luxury she could no longer afford. But she kept working, because she didn't have a choice. When the tea was ready, she forced her legs to move, one shaky step at a time. Lucian was writing something in his notebook when she reached the table. "Your tea, sir." Her voice was soft, almost breaking. She set the cup down. Then her fingers slipped. Her knees buckled. And before Lucian could even react, her body collapsed forward and landed in his lap. The cafe went silent. People gasped. A spoon clattered. Someone whispered, "Oh my God!" Lucian froze. His body stiffened, shock flashing across his normally unreadable face. He looked down at the unconscious girl lying across him. Small, fragile, cold. For the first time in years, he didn't know what to do. "Alara? Alara!" Her coworker rushed over, panic gripping her voice. Lucian's jaw tightened. He looked at the pale face resting against his suit. "Is she ill?" he asked sharply. The coworker hesitated. Her eyes lowered. She whispered almost fearfully, She hasn't eaten properly for days. She's been taking too many shifts. She's struggling." Lucian's eyes darkened, not with anger at her, with something unexpected, something protective. He gently slid her off his lap and held her upright. Her head fell against his shoulder. Her pulse was faint. He didn't wait for anyone else. He didn't call his driver. He didn't care about the people staring. Lucian Dreyford, the man who never touched anyone, lifted Alara into his arms as if she weighed nothing. "We're going to the hospital," he said firmly. But fate had one more twist waiting. the reason behind her collapse. At the emergency room, doctors rushed her inside while Lucian paced like a restless storm. When the doctor finally emerged, he exhaled before speaking. She fainted due to extreme exhaustion. But that's not all. Lucian's chest tightened. The doctor continued, "She has been skipping meals for a long time, and she hasn't bought her medication. Her iron levels are dangerously low. If she had collapsed just a few minutes later." He didn't finish the sentence. Lucian's hands curled into fists. Not because he was angry at Alara. Not because she fell on him. Not because his expensive suit was ruined. He was angry because someone like her had been forced to suffer like this. Because no one helped her. Because the world had pushed her to the edge, and she had simply endured it alone. He walked to her room. Alara lay motionless on the bed. A small oxygen clip on her finger, her breathing shallow. Lucian stood at the doorway, something shifting inside him. This girl, this stranger, shouldn't have had to fight her battles alone. And for reasons he couldn't understand yet, he suddenly felt responsible. A billionaire's unexpected decision. He looked at her fragile form and made a decision that would change both of their lives forever. When she wakes up, Lucian told the nurse, "Inform her that all her hospital bills have been taken care of." The nurse froze. By who?" Lucian's voice was firm, unwavering. "By me." The nurse nodded, shocked. Then Lucian added, his tone quieter, almost personal, "And please prepare a nutritional plan for her. I want the best treatment she can receive. She doesn't pay for anything." "Understood." The staff exchanged stunned glances. The brutal billionaire was caring, but Lucian was not finished. Before leaving the room, he glanced at Alara one last time. Her fingers twitched weakly. Her lips parted as if whispering something. Maybe a dream, maybe a memory. He stepped closer. For the first time in years, Lucian Dreyford felt a pain in his chest that wasn't anger, but concern, deep concern. And a promise formed silently in his heart. "No one will hurt you again. Not while I'm here." What he didn't know was that when Alara woke up, she would say something that would shatter him and force him to confront the darkest part of her story. She woke up, and her first words broke him. Soft beeping filled the hospital room. Sunlight filtered faintly through the blinds, falling across Alara's pale face. Her eyelids fluttered. Once, twice, then slowly, she opened them. Lucian Dreyford had been sitting in the corner chair for hours, unmoving, watching over her in a silence that even he didn't understand. When she finally stirred, he stood abruptly. "Alara," he said gently. Her gaze lifted toward him, unfocused at first, then startled. She pushed herself up with trembling hands. Why are you here?" Her voice cracked like thin ice. Lucian took a slow breath. "Because you collapsed. And because someone needed to make sure you were safe." Her eyes widened, and tears welled instantly. Not out of relief, but fear. She whispered for words that tightened something deep inside his chest. "Please, don't fire me." Lucian froze. Of all the things she could have said, of all the fears she could have had, this was the one that consumed her. "Why would you think I would fire you?" he asked quietly. Her grip tightened around the blanket. "Because I caused trouble. I ruined your morning. I fell on you. People like you don't tolerate mistakes." A moment of silence passed. Lucian felt something he hadn't felt in years. Guilt. "I'm not angry at you," he said, stepping closer. "I'm angry that you've been enduring all this alone." Her lips parted, confusion clouding her tired face. He pulled out a chair and sat beside her bed. "Alara, talk to me. What's been happening?" And just like that, everything inside her finally broke. The truth she hid from the world. Alara didn't cry loudly. She didn't shake or scream. She cried in silence, like someone who had learned to be quiet even in her pain. "I never wanted anyone to know," she whispered. Lucian nodded gently. "You're safe. Tell me." She took a shaky breath. "My little brother, Aspen, he has a heart condition. He's only 9. Her voice trembled. I'm the only one he has left. Our parents died in a car accident 2 years ago. I've been working non-stop to keep us afloat. But it wasn't enough anymore. Her nails dug into her palm. I stopped buying food so he could eat. I stopped taking my medication because he needed his medicine more. I took double shifts because our landlord threatened to kick us out. Lucian's jaw clenched. So that's why she was always exhausted. That's why her hands trembled. That's why she collapsed. I tried to hide it from everyone, she continued. I didn't want pity. I didn't want to be a burden. A bitter smile touched her lips. I didn't even want help. I just wanted to survive. Lucian had heard hundreds of business proposals, thousands of excuses, and countless manipulations in his life. But nothing had ever hit him the way her quiet truth did. He looked at her not as a billionaire, not as a man feared by thousands, but as a human being who had failed to see her struggle sooner. Alara, he said softly, you're not a burden, and you're not alone anymore. Her fear and his anger, but Alara shook her head. No, please don't get involved in my life, she begged. If my landlord finds out I'm in the hospital, he'll throw Aspen out. I need to get back to work. I need to. Lucian held up a hand. You're not going anywhere. You need rest. I can't rest, she nearly sobbed. If I don't work, Aspen doesn't eat. Lucian felt something hot rising inside him. Anger, not at her, never at her. He was furious at the system, at the cruelty of life, at the people who watched her break and did nothing, at himself, for sitting in that cafe all those mornings and never noticing her pain. Alara, he said firmly. Give me your landlord's name, she gasped. No, please, you don't understand, he's strict. He doesn't care about anything. Lucian's eyes hardened. Oh, he will care, he said coldly, because I'm going to make sure of it. For the first time, a spark of fear flickered across her face. You can't fix my life, she whispered. Lucian leaned forward. I'm not trying to fix it, he said. I'm trying to stop it from breaking further. The billionaire's unthinkable move. 2 hours later, while Alara slept again, Lucian stepped outside the hospital and made a phone call. Find the landlord of 3B Crestwood Apartments, he ordered, and find the boy named Aspen Vaughn. Bring him to the hospital safely. Now. His head of security didn't question it. Lucian then made another call, this one colder. To the legal department. I want ownership papers for that entire apartment building drawn up today. No delays. By the time afternoon shadows stretched over the city, Lucian Dreyford became the new owner of Alara's building. And the first thing he did was fire the landlord. Permanently. The reunion that melted Lucian's heart. 30 minutes later, the door to Alara's room opened. A security guard gently guided a small boy inside. He had big hazel eyes, messy hair, and a backpack that looked far too heavy. Ellie, he whispered. Alara's eyes snapped open. Aspen. She tried to sit up, but pain shot through her. Aspen rushed to her side, hugging her carefully. I was scared, he murmured. They said you collapsed. Alara held him weakly, tears sliding down her cheeks. I'm okay, sweetheart. I promise. Lucian watched them from the doorway. Something inside him, something he thought had died long ago, stirred. Aspen turned toward him nervously. Are you the man who helped my sister? Lucian nodded. Aspen swallowed. Thank you, sir. His voice was small. Too small for a boy who carried the weight of the world. Lucian walked closer, kneeling so he was eye level with the child. You don't need to worry anymore, he said softly. Your home is safe. Your sister is safe. And you are safe. Aspen stared at him, confused. What do you mean? Lucian hesitated. He had never been good at emotional words. But this time the truth came out effortlessly. You both have a place to stay, free from rent, free from threats, forever. And you will receive medical treatment without worrying about cost. Alara's eyes widened. No, Lucian, you can't. This is too much. It's not, he said firmly, meeting her gaze. It's the least the world owes someone as strong as you. Her breaking point, and his promise. Alara's breath hitched. Her shoulders shook. Why? She whispered. Why would you do all this for me? I'm just a waitress. You don't even know me. Lucian stepped closer. I'm doing it, he said quietly. Because no one helped you when they should have. Because you deserve dignity. Because your brother deserves a childhood, not a battlefield. And because, he paused, because I care. More than I expected to. Alara covered her mouth as tears streamed down her face. For the first time in years, she felt hope. Real hope. A new beginning for all three of them. Over the next days, Alara recovered. Aspen underwent tests for his heart condition. Lucian visited every day. He brought homework books for Aspen. He brought warm meals for Alara. He even brought flowers, though he denied it when the nurse teased him. He didn't act like a billionaire. He acted like someone who finally understood the value of kindness. And every time he looked at Alara, something gentler softened his cold gaze. The cafe staff later said they barely recognized him when he returned. He smiled. He tipped generously. He even asked about their day. Because one girl had changed him. One collapse had awakened something human inside him. Something he thought he had buried forever. The ending that gives goosebumps.